welcome to July. It is already quite a doozy, is it not? There's a new moon soon, so I won't get too far into all of that. However, it's perfect. The Mars-Saturn opposition is very much an intense face-off, but also an incredible balancing, reconciling with polarity, perhaps. I struggled for myself today, and it's so funny. The Devil card has been falling out for some time, but also collectively, and I think that in a world of polarity, we have to sink deeper to shoot ourselves out of those cycles, very literally. But it's hard because the timing is aligning so perfectly that it's triggering a lot of past things. Chiron is also in the middle of Aries, which very much brings hellfire to me. Or like the scene in Little Nicky when the dude's just like, hellfire is burning me alive. 100% what I think that feels like. And among the many retrogrades, Jupiter is still asleep with Neptune. And the moon, interestingly enough, are you dreaming? What are you dreaming? And I think when you follow the moon with that will lead us to some interesting, very potent places. It's very much a hotbed for chemical reactivity, which is also very literally the weather responses we've been having. I often joke Mother Nature is as bipolar as I am. And this Uranus square on that plate, on that heat, is really intense, and I feel like it can be really disembodying, or very just challenging in identity. I myself, I guess always, but particularly will feel challenged with the status quo, I suppose. But there's a lot of identity crisis that also comes with that, or can. But yeah, I don't know. We're just going to focus on how to flow through this through the month with a couple of cards, and then I'll most likely pull more collectively. So yeah, bear with me, my friends. Yeah, I'll pull top and bottom for each sign. Give you a little nugget to rock with for the month, for the next couple of weeks. Whatever. We can start with it's Cancer season. Wish that starts. My dear Cancer. What does my dear Cancer need to take with them on this journey? You get a surprise. Nine of Hearts and Ten of Hearts. Lovely. What's the surprise? Five of Diamonds. Interesting. I can hear it. It's like the end of this. It's like the end of the story, and you know, that chime to a new chapter kind of thing. That's kind of what's going on, and I feel like that might be frustrating because you want to look back, which is perhaps why this is inverted. Or maybe exactly what you need to do is look back and bring it forward. Or let it go entirely. I mean, if it's the wrong kind of intensity, if it's just weight, then like looking back is understanding it, not holding on to it. The understanding is the only thing that comes forward, and what brings you full circle, which is what that Ten of Hearts momentum is. Once you let that go, like, then you can prosper. What a fluctuation. Yeah, that's fucking hard, my friend. But heart energy does manifest very physically. And that's, I think, where either we seek understanding or some kind of recognition or validation. Study the self. Study the way your body is holding on to breath. And the way that breath holds on to memory, ultimately. And what has that meant for you? Because this is the polarity of that Saturn-Mars opposition party on, my friend. Gemini. Everybody's getting surprises. Okay. The Five of Wands fell out face up. So maybe less of a surprise and sort of a wake up, or like a I mean, it's still a surprise, but it's like it's something that you'll know. It's something that, I don't know, like you may have known intuitively, or will just kind of like show itself. Interesting, because there's also the Two of Spades, which is a crossroads. And I feel like that's where something appears too, sort of like, yeah, like a conjuring, truly. But when we race past those, we tend to miss the details. The Queen of Wands preceding that, I think, is, it's very literally a Cartomancy, but it's also inverted. With these oppositions, anxiety builds, intensity builds. the irony is this wands is clubs is one's energy, fire kind of energy. So internalizing that is very much, or like cultivating it inwardly is very much like a key point in meditation, even though it sounds counterintuitive. So what you can do with that is hold that heat, stare in the flame, recognize it for what it is, and understand that you can do anything with it. And this is perhaps the squaring off with Uranus, that is like looking into a mirror, like, am I doing all of the things that I said I would do, that I know that I can do, that I'm capable of? Are you even talking to yourself like that, ultimately? Or is this an opportunity to create a new memory and a new cycle? Because it comes from a place of creation, but the twos is reprogramming. I hope that makes sense. There's an apple of knowledge there. You just have to take the time to pick. It's yours. Party on, my friend. Lovely Aquarius. Where are you? Surprise, surprise, no surprises. But the Nine of Diamonds very much is a blessing, a reward, a victory, a surprise, like jingling in the air. That's very funny. Which is also very much healing, or like cleaning or cleansing or newness, revival to a wound, I suppose. But good shit. Gratitude always. But I like legit. I think that's the element of surprise, and it's maybe even more so part of the momentum here. Part of the weight of the stars and what they are doing right now, that is resting upon this. But you heard the fucking jingles, my friend. It's rocking. The Six of Spades follows, which is very much a cleaning of mental energy, but I don't necessarily feel like it's even internal, which is ironic. I feel like it has more to do with space, more to do with something around us rather than something inside of us, or something that is stained on an older version of us or a separate version of us. But again, kind of this, not here necessarily. That's not to say it doesn't need to be done, but that is to say that perhaps this is what is part of this immediate cyclic energy. at this moment for this month with these stars. And as the moon is upon it, or like comes upon us, rotates its way up our wazoo. I get a sense that this is absorbing maybe somebody else's dirt, grime, need to clean. I don't mean that literally. It was just in the metaphor of cleaning. Taking on somebody else's negative energy, or like trauma or burdens, or which maybe that's where this kind of reward comes in, or kind of clarity, perhaps, that is coming to us in droves. So with that, my friends, lots of love, lots of luck. Party on. All the little Leos of the world. What say you? Interesting. The card that fell out was the 5 of Spades. And the Queen of Spades. And the Jack of Hearts. Everything inverted with this 5 of Spades. I feel like this is searching. This 5 of Spades is searching for somebody to tell you that you are the beautiful Leo that you are. And like, that is not what is attractive about you, dear Leo. The Queen of Swords energy is very much knows their deepest darkness, has integrated it, and gets shit fucking done. And the Jack of Hearts is very much like this sort of jovial, romantic energy. And so in the archetypes of ourselves, this can very much be where our cynicism kills our romance of ourselves. Where our, like the exterior of like fucking bad bitch energy, like can also be callous as fuck. And like not also not the true face you want to show. We all wear many masks. Or like many presentations of ourselves. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people do wear, I don't know, different versions of their hearts on their sleeves even, and represent themselves knowingly so, kind of tweaking that as such. It's funny, often I find it just sound bonkers. It just sounds like sad boy poem. But trust in that and believe in that, because somebody fucking cares. Somebody will recognize that for its wisdom and its artistry, etc., etc., without you having to be only hard or only cynical or only callous or only protected. Those things don't exist in a vacuum. Those things The thing about doing that is when you start calibrating that system to do that, it's not like, you know, they turn off this one switch and the rest of them are fine. You start to turn off all switches, and you protect yourself and harden yourself from one feeling. You harden yourself from all, and that's the dichotomy of life and the duality or non-duality of emotional experience. Yeah, I think this will be an interesting time of learning maybe how you've calibrated it this far and what you need to tweak so that you don't disservice your heart or your light with the heart, or your softness with, you know, the hard candy shell. I know this very well. And I feel like the energy in the air isn't necessarily something that makes this kind of energy or that kind of fire sign want to be soft or feel safe being soft. It really doesn't, for most people in most situations, let's be honest. But this is where we learn to love ourselves, is to create those opportunities, create those moments, create that tenderness for ourselves, because we deserve it. And it is part of healing, absolutely. And part of loving beyond healing. It's part of integrating the healing so that we can love fuller and bigger and be more vivacious. And exactly that. Fuck yeah. Party on. Oh, lovely. Lovely. All right. My dear Virgo. I'm just gonna, because I understand everything's connected, but let's just clear all of that happy Leo shit. It's great stuff out. Party. 10 of Wands. 10 of Clubs. Same. Fire energy. And Queen of Spades. I feel like this is very similar, but reversed. Rather than this necessarily be on a polarity of like you have restricted so much, allow yourself space. You have tensed so much, allow yourself relaxation and tenderness. This is more so the polarity of like chaos and responsibility. Are you doing your best to remain calm in the chaos. The world is very chaotic. It's no surprise if you can't, I promise. It's literally everybody has trouble with it at one point or another. But I think Virgos are very meticulous, and it's kind of like if something was forgotten on this list, they'd be like, fuck off, go back. Or like need to, or they would need to drag themselves back to the store to, have everything on this list, or what have you, kind of energy. Maybe it's not that literally, but you know what I mean, like detailed, kind of perfectionist, kind of has needs and standards and boundaries. But this energy is very much like yes and then some. And while that is a fucking fun night, I'm sure, that often leaves us to forget certain details about what we need, why we need it, and is also a bypass for details on our, perpetual healing journeys and what have you. It starts to blur the lines when we accept, all play and no work, or all fun and no grounding. It's like not checking in. It's like not checking in at home, kind of thing, kind of energy. And there's nothing wrong with it either. It's just a matter of mediating and moderation. It is beautiful to be structured and linear and supporting, even. That can be very wholly nourishing. And this can also be very, 0 to 60 and like for the thrill, and, amazing stories and amazing experiences, and how, we aim to live life for the fullest, or to the fullest. But there's a clever balance, so as not to invoke or produce or project recklessness. It's like very literally skating downhill. Like, you have to sort of lower your balance and fucking stay as balanced as you possibly can, because everything's kind of like going crazy. And maybe we can ride that wave and fucking land on our feet, and it's great. We also don't have to constantly test that, or test ourselves either. Sometimes it's nice to just chill, because you can bounce back and forth longer. You can be at the party longer. I like that. Party on. I enjoy that. I can relate. Because I do everything to extremes. Alrighty. A lovely Aries. Oh. like this a lot. This actually reminds me of a conversation that I was just recently having. Eight of clubs, nine of diamonds. So we have a very literally like heat cycle. And on this card, they're like stirring this pot. Within that, I feel like people are very instigatory. With the energy that's in the world. People are also connecting very much so from their heat, which is root chakra and genitals for sure, but also desire. And I think that as it relates to this conversation and as it relates to this, because they're both inverted. The nine of diamonds is also inverted, which is the jackpot card. And what I was going to say with people connecting with desire and with fire is it's not necessarily even with their fire. And this is where hurt people, and, you know, non-symbiotic relationships or like connections can breed, or try to breathe together. And what this conversation was generally just understanding that it is such a fire, that you also have to be mindful with it, mindful with that energy. Otherwise, bitches just be out here falling in love, or falling in lust and in addiction, truly, and in, again, cycles of trauma. And this eight of clubs came to mind because it was very much like just stirring the pot, just stirring your own pot, and like pleasing yourself and bringing love to yourself and joy to yourself, so much so that it resonates and that it radiates. And then, you know, you're finessing this, you know, brew, this nourishment, this potion, whatever it is in this fucking pot. And the right kind of people, the people that you want to attract, are the ones who are going to catch a whiff of it on the air and who are going to follow it and follow that scent to what is true desire. Granted, lots of people will catch that scent, but not everybody will put in the effort to come to the source of it. And I think that makes all the difference, is recognizing that sometimes you gotta just like let motherfuckers come to you. Because isn't that what they say about love all the time too, is like it comes when you least expect it? And I think that is often because we put ourselves second and we put ourselves last, and we're so busy looking outward for love that we fail to recognize that it could have started at home, here, in you, all of this time. And as somebody who has been poly for many years and been in many different kinds of relationships, I can say by personal experience that adding a new person or another person or whatever will not fix your relationship and will not fucking fix you. I hope you figure your shit out. Like, I'm not saying fucking full abstinence, but I am saying other people aren't gonna fix you. That's just truth. And it can be a hell of a distraction from what healing actually needs to be done. And can also be used against you when you're not in tune with what that is, where that comes from, what ingredients you're using, and what it fucking smells like, etc., etc., and like just how much of a jackpot you are, or should think that you are, and should cultivate why you don't think you are by yourself, or like with a healthy support system in any relationship, And in any relationship, expecting somebody else to do the healing for you is not the case. That's a little bit of a rant and possibly got sidetracked, but with this 8 of clubs and this 9 of diamonds, I feel like is generally turning inward to all of those sensations, ingredients, everything that goes into you, everything that fills you with joy. Stirring that with highest intention to recognize you are your gift, you are your balance, you are one with your identity. I feel like this is also very much kind of like those I am meditations and very much root chakra knowing. And it is a very magnetic energy and a very enticing energy. So, and it, like it being inverted, if you don't think that, this is me telling you, it is you have the capability of being enticing and delicious, and if you do not feel that, now is a beautiful time to figure out if you need a little spice. And by spice, I don't mean somebody else, I mean you. How do you spice up your life? Party on. That would be fucking Aries, truly. Oh, so many things to say, I know. I would love to, but I'm going to focus on Libra. I'm sorry, Aries. Oops. That just felt really good. I'm sorry. I got distracted. We'll pull all 3. But I mean, Libra's also the balancer, so maybe we need this. That's just what happened. The 9 of diamonds fell out again. What is it with these surprises and gifts and these bells and surprise storms? 9 of clubs, Jack of swords, 3 of hearts. Interesting. The 9s and the 9, well, you create a new cycle. Thank you, Libra, for also being with justice and initiating a new cycle, always. One that comes in balance and joy. I sure hope so. I think this can be either muffling and disconnection, or tuning into yourself, tuning into in general. And that can all, that's very much this like square action, as the moon revolves and how we're dealing with identity and collective, and with the rule bearers sort of asleep at the wheel. This is the perfect time to hear ourselves clearly, truly. Even though it feels like it's not. And I think that's where we can all kind of channel that Libra's beautiful energy. The extra cards or the other cards, the Jack of swords and the 3 of hearts. There's that general theme of like reprogramming, I feel like, again. because the Nine of Wands is the end of a cycle, and the Jack of Swords is sort of the carpenter of this situation. And I feel like it looks like he's cleaning a record, and I've gotten old records where there's like somebody else's something on it, and you have to be so delicate and so gentle, and it's a mental energy, and the Three of Swords is very literally cutting into themselves, or Three of Hearts. Are we being gentle and detailed in reprogramming ourselves? We're like blaming ourselves for being at the same machine over and over again. You know, it's one or the other that we fluctuate in between in behaviors of our personality. I'm going to turn on the light because it's getting kind of dark. Kind of dark. Will it work? Will it work? Jesus. Mary and Joseph. Gosh, that's bright. My gosh. Alright. It just looks like a haunted house. Into it. Into it! What was I saying? Yes, this is mastering your gentility with yourself, mastering loving yourself, and perhaps you feel exactly the opposite, but that is exactly why. At the root of it is that, you know, sometimes it's funny to think about how, like, in other realities, the exact opposite is potentially true. So in another reality, you know, your worst day is actually your best day. All the questions you have now are answered. And that is sometimes reassuring. And sometimes the, like, trick yourself boost into being like, no, you're right. I'm pretty on top of my shit. I got this. And to be able to tune into yourself and sing your own song, what's on your mind, be true to your thoughts, etc., etc., because they are little glimmers of something else. Thoughts are both our misery and our gift, for sure. But if you see them as your misery, then they become your misery. If you see them as a gift and follow them with that curiosity, then it becomes a gift. Or it becomes something you can utilize in such a way. In that perspective, in that minor tweak of a detail, which is where this Jack of Swords rises. Lucky you for making me feel so good that I picked more cards. Oh, funny. Sagittarius. You just stay everywhere. Sagittarius. Whoa. Ten of Spades, Eight of Diamonds. I do relate to this very much, and I try not to. The Eight of Diamonds is very much a unity in something. Whether that be ideas coming full circle, or with the Ten of Swords, it's very much that. Ideas coming full circle. It's the climax of a song. It's because it is both and it is one at the same time. And the dude's just rocking out. But it's very much this sort of climax of a song that comes kind of full circle again. And in the golden ratio, that's also where, more can be added to it. It's like a sequence of momentum. And that's eights, or that cycles as well, or that reflection of. So perhaps you see signs of something that you thought to be true coming a little bit more towards you, or showing themselves and their truth. I think I have little epiphanies every day, but this is very much that energy. So whether it be just small things where you meet somebody that's blah blah blah, something we fucking connect, or you read something that's aha, this makes sense, that explains why I've been this way all my life, or something along those lines, which is very much such a stabilizing feeling, and such a blessing and such a reward, which is maybe why you're one of those that did not get a surprise, because this is in itself a sort of drawn out surprise, whether that be just in this time period, just in July, or something that comes full circle for your whole life. There's very much time to sit in it with so many planets in retrograde too. We're supposed to learn something from it. That's why everything's in retrograde. It's yo, you're not getting the fucking point. Let me try again. So welcome those connections. Be open to them. Sing about them. Let your life be that kind of weird, serendipitous musical, because it's fun that way. It's party that way, and it's a party with meaning, because any plot line has its meaning, any good plot line. And I do like this a lot, because the 8 is inherently 2 of nothing, and the 10 is always 1. I love that. Yay, rain. I hope it isn't too terribly loud, or it just sounds really nice. I hope that. Alright, Scorpio, water sign. Let's shake a little bit of this up. I was gonna go do something. I'm glad I did. My dear Scorpio and all your waters, I know you've been waiting to release this. What do you got for July? Ooh. Six of Hearts is the ladder. The surprise was the King of Hearts. Interesting. And the Four of Clubs to begin, which is stability, it's building, it's like the outline or the framework to something, which is also just, you know, the little things that we do to carry ourselves through the day, to carry ourselves through hard times, the little ways that we take care of ourselves, the little ways that we love ourselves. Like, one form of self-love for me is that I love to learn something new every day. Whether that be a fun word or, I don't know, anything. Something that I didn't know before, something that makes me just that much more. Because this character is also just like literally brushing their teeth. But the thing with that too is it's not the harsh task that we apply to it. It's something that can be delicate, or should be delicate, and about fine maintenance. Because you're polishing. Bone is what it is. But there's all kinds of little ways that we go about life that are small ways of being tender to ourselves, truly. Whether that be, you know, taking a bath with a pretty bath bomb, or like meditating on, you know, loving a younger version of yourself that much more. Or I've meditated on splitting my masculine and feminine and giving the other side what it needs at any particular moment. But that is also what carries you into stability and into wholeness. For as crazy and hectic as things have been with all of these storms and all of the emotional release, it has absolutely been intense. As somebody with mental illness, and with my bipolar, a lot of hallucinations or visions that I used to have were about this kind of intensity, and it led me down some very difficult paths. But now the same things are happening, and I'm seeing, or like the same intensities, and the same things are happening. I'm seeing the same shit, just more intensely so. But now I know there's little things and little ways to sort of temper the heat that exists because of it, or the nonsense that exists because of it, so that I can continue to lead a healthier, happier, not super fucking manic life. And that's super funny because the Six of Hearts is very much about longevity and, you know, peace within that, finding peace long term in life, finding beauty in the intricacies of it, and delicacy and tenderness in the way that it's weaved. And there's absolutely something that I think is the way to live life to the fullest, but also something that I continuously learn. I think this King of Hearts, like, I want to say that perhaps it is somebody meeting that for what it is, like, or something meeting that for what it is, some sort of eye to eye. But I also never really attribute other people's energy to anything but the energy that I read. I think it's silly to dangle love like a carrot, and that's a very Western thing. But I do think this is like wearing your heart on your sleeve, perhaps, which is kind of me fucking telling you about all these weird things that I just did. But it is expressing that, whether it be boundaries of like, hey, no, I'm gonna just like take care of me today, you know, I'd rather not go out in the rain or whatever, or like, hey, no, I want to fucking knit tonight, so I can't do this, plus I'm really anxious and I would just be more comfortable in other situations. It's very much setting boundaries and like saying what you need, saying what you mean, meaning what you say, but also saying what you need so that your needs are met. Which, in the grand scheme of things, we can tend to overlook because of the intensity of previous reactions. That becomes the bigger picture that sort of overlooks the minor details. And that ultimately results in knots. Knots in the tapestry, knots in the weaving. And that is not what we aspire to, but we have to slow ourselves down and also speak truth to that. Yes, feeling is a part of our reality, but the sounds we make, the moves we make, the way we speak is also how we cast our energies out into the world in some way, shape, or form. In all of those. So even if it's not speaking, it's a sound, an utterance, vibration, a motion, a current, something to sort of embody. That also rings true of like very somatic kind of therapies over talk therapy. I guess not over, but with. Because our bodies retain so much, and sort of consistently programs the details into that picture when we need to be doing the other way around. Gosh, I know that's a lot, but the Four of Clubs is such a powerful structure around you. It's like four candles. It's a place of protection in conjuring. And I think when you have faith in that and speak truth to that, then and maybe it's not even speaking truth, because like they're holding a protest sign. Like some people don't acknowledge people for their signage, but they do acknowledge the way something feels, the way you feel, the way you present that. And it doesn't have to be forceful or with voice. It can just be with the subtlety of the universe. I think the energy about us wants us to scream about it. Oh boy, do I. But I think this King of Hearts is asking for something else desperately. And he has a lot of pain. But even he's not screaming. He has before, though. And maybe that's part of the lesson, too. I'm sure the Six of Hearts has screamed a time or two. But there's ways around that. And that's probably precisely why this Four has something in their mouth. Interesting. Very interesting. Us Scorpios feel so much, don't we? Interesting. There's the end of something. It's funny, like in the distance behind my eyelids was just sort of this like vibrating blue, like shock, like seeing a shock off in the distance, which I don't know, from what I've read, certain types of blue are also where certain lower frequencies of sadness and of like insecurity reside. So with the color that it was, I feel like this is an energy that needs to be off in the distance because it's sort of blackening everything else. And the Eight of Diamonds and the Two of Hearts suggest the same. Because the Eight of Diamonds is very much this tangible, earthy, stable, repetition inverted. It's not a reflection that's flowing. And the Two of Hearts, the Two of Hearts suggests no. Like the two of these cards together is pretty much just like, fuck that shit, start something else. Or like, end that, look elsewhere. Which, in the running theme of I don't know, every other card holder, you know, running theme of like the zeitgeist of love. Yes, look elsewhere, look in you. And stop putting up with, not putting up with, take your energy back from cycles of momentum that have become predictable or have become surprisingly the same. Either way, it's a monotonous cycle that requires a new step in a new direction to be fulfilling. Because it's a new heart journey, is what the Two of Hearts is. So like, end of a literal cycle, new heart, emotional journey. End of the concrete, beginning of new abstract. Which is, it would seem like polarity and an opposite, but there's a fragile state of matter, of temperature change that allows this energy to crisscross and allows this energy to find unity. 100%, gosh, there's breathing exercises to balance out the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. But even just like in energetic healing, you know, you can carry energy to the opposite side when you feel one side is overreacting or what have you. Or is, you know, dominating the experience or dominating the perception of that experience. There's also literally this character's like heart is on the floor, in the sense that not that their heart is, but the colors are drawn in that way. Because greens are this green is very much that like vivid Frankenstein monster skin green, but like at the chakra kind of green. I think continuing in cycles that you know are predictable or the wrong kind of surprising is in a form of stepping or trampling on your heart, and this is an opportunity to liberate from that. Clean it, fold it. Clean it, fold it, pick it up off the ground, be nice to it, don't wrinkle it, all that jazz. And by it, I mean sure, whatever that is, but also like your heart, your integrity, your love, your compassion, your integrity almost. and your heart's deepest, most vulnerable sense. It's a big jump. I feel like maybe that's again why these two just kind of came together, is because this in and of itself is a surprise. Not in that it's a surprise, but maybe a large, either quick or drawn out. A quick, but like a sudden instance, but like drawn out in the hitherto thinking process. But it's clear. It's very much the bridge to the opportunity. Is, I think, what it collectively serves as its own surprise. I hope that makes sense. Disagreeing. Not me. We're gonna get that off of here. Alright, Taurus. Okay. I pulled more because it was the 8 of Diamonds again and the 5 of Diamonds, which is funny because this is very much a funny halfway point with the 5, and it's like wanting to double but not quite enough. And then we have more than enough and what have you. And perfect. More than enough and perfect. I feel like it's a funny, like learning curve, like hump of judgment. There's like a fucking, we're gonna have to get over a hump collectively, I'm sure. But also like Taurus maybe independently. Maybe that's because a project or something that we want to be known or release wants to come out. The 4 of Swords and the 2 of Hearts were the cards I pulled after, because it just wanted more clarity. It wanted me to ask more. Like, I don't know. It's just like, oh, so you'd fucking pick more cards for another sign, but not me, kind of vibe. So I had to. And the Four of Swords is, in this case, I feel like overshooting. Or like, not overshooting, but maybe thinking something's a long shot. Or maybe it's both, depending on your situation. Either this endeavor, connection, idea, you know, what you want to see a patterning as, either feels like too far a long shot, or your energy, or because it feels like a long shot, your energy is overcompensating. And that's not to be said. That's not to be a dick thing to say. But perhaps with the lack of earth energy in a lot of the I don't know, elements in the air right now, because the earth is also under fire. But there's a lot of fire and there's a lot of water, which is causing a lot of air. And perhaps the earth energy is like, what the fuck, I want to eat too, which is like, yo, we will. But the fire is creating friction and like dryness, and for all of the endeavors we want, perhaps now we are not thinking in our clearest, which is funny because my eye also is just like irritating the fuck out of me, and I'm like, it can see, but like it's frustrating, and that's not to say don't fucking go for what you know is true to your heart, but that is to say that slow down. You know, just because you are Earth does not necessarily mean you're always grounded, and just because you are or feel calm or feel, you know, on top of your shit or what have you, doesn't mean that you can't slip up. It doesn't mean that you can't still impose or intrude with, or just be, you know, very Aries about your energy. It's a very much a learning curve, and I feel like with this Five of Diamonds isn't necessarily that it like, it's not a surprise in a like ta-da way. It's like a fuck, I realized I lost my adventure card, or like fuck, where did I drop my phone, kind of thing, or kind of feeling, which is again what fuels this like overshooting and like fucking flipping out about shit, when you can just calm down, understand that everything's backed up, and like you got the insurance, whatever the fuck the case is, that you have an extra one at home, not a big deal, rather than perpetuating cycles of that misery. I hope that makes sense. There is calmness after the storm, if you hear the birds, and I think that's something to hold on to. And also don't beat yourself up for not feeling like you are your calm all the time. We all get our crazy days too. Don't be so hard on yourself, and also don't rush or look too far off. Just be here, and then you'll hear whatever falls out or drops, and it won't be an issue. Party on, you motherfucking Taurus. Party. Alright. Pisces is what I meant. Interesting. Two of Wands, Five of Wands. New hallway to new space of creation, new opportunities, new doorways, new ways of seeing yourself, new ways of perspective of looking at yourself. That's also the two. Two of Wands is very much friction. The Two of Clubs is very much that too. I feel like it can be not looking in the right direction, but I feel like this is looking in a direction that you know you want to go in, but perhaps is very like shocking or like new, like for lack of a better word, new, like shocking and like you can't look away from. The Five of Wands is maybe very much about recognizing that it's not so much shocking to see that outside of you. It's that you need to be able to see that inside of yourself as well. Like seeing other people that are like, oh, you're so this. I wish I could be. You can. You just have to choose to do that. I used to say that all the time. People are like, oh yeah, I wish I could look like you. You can. It just comes with responsibilities or understandings. You can stretch your ears all you want. Just recognize if you decide to go back. It's a whole other procedure. And I think that's perhaps the shocking part of it is that you need to shock yourself. You need to wow yourself and amaze yourself and see how much potential is in that, rather than seeing all of the flaws. And that kind of goes again back to all of the times that programming has come up in this, where yes, in a very large way we've been programmed to kind of see the worst in us, and much like I said also with like dangling carrots of love, we can acknowledge those patterns and speak truth and healing to ourselves, and recognizing that that kind of reality is absolutely attainable. It's only unattainable because you tell yourself it's not, but it's free. It's the only thing standing in the way of that is your ability to see its possibility and its potential and its truth. You can be whatever it is that you're looking for. Even the blood in this is like in the past, but also like so palatable. And I feel like that's maybe where we need to go with energy, being it, expelling it, or speaking truth of it. And sometimes that's also, you know, how what do they say about confidence? Fake it till you make it. And like, you know, that's what affirmations are. Look at yourself in the fucking mirror and say, you're not a piece of shit, or, you know, whatever it is that you need to recalibrate. Like, you are bold and beautiful and brave versus, you know, stupid and whatever it is that the world has told you thus far. I feel like there's a fluctuation of intensity here that most has trouble getting where it needs to be. But that's so much also because, like, you don't even see that as possible. It's like a fish going upstream and finally not believing that there's a delta at the end, or anybody like them. And that is false. And the first step to understanding that possibility and getting past that short fluctuation. And the steady cruise. Alrighty. I hope that helps. That's all of the homies in one. So, I mean, I guess to make it like an even time, I will pull collective. Bonus. Let's do these buddy boys. Collective bonus. Does feel very lovely. Ho ho. Ho ho ho. Justice is an 8, which is also an 8. Funny, 8s keep coming up, and the Libra pull wanted many more. And the 9 of Cups is fulfillment and joy and abundance, but it's also like a waterfall. And I think that is very much what the rain is all about, is releasing and holding ourselves to the light for what it feels, not for what it looks like. That is really actually quite beautiful. And I love that. We're waterfalls inside. We truly are. And we have to honor that and go back to the river for truth and for cleansing, which is in everything. It's in memory, it's in art, it's in the nature, and it's physical reality. And it's the most bizarre molecule capable of so much. Never underestimate the potential. It is all possibility. Balancing on the scales. Oof. I love that. Water's so powerful. I resonate. I'll resonate. We'll pull a number. Nine of Wands, Jack of Hearts. With healing comes great awareness and great joy. It is so lovely to not wear the weight of the world or your past, or your many past lives, or what have you, and all of your ancestral memory in your cells. The Nine of Wands is that intensity, and I feel like this intensity is something that we can find creativity in and creative joy in. It's very much like when you were young and you would blast music and like fucking rage around your room because you had a long day at school or whatever, or you know, however our youth deal now. But that was how I know. Was like blasting fucking Fall Out Boy and like crying. Truly. The Jack of Hearts is the joy that comes after that release. And again, you know, all of this tuning into self-love stuff. The intensity can be a really beautiful ride if we ride it with sensual balance and honoring the intensity of the wave over our intensity. Because our intensity is ego. Mother Nature's intensity is the wave. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'll catch you on the new moon, though. Motherfuckers! Ah, did I just quote Bridesmaids? Don't judge me.